Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to The Ghost and Molly McGee episode 4. So yeah, I think if it weren't for One Piece and JoJo, this would be my most excited for series I'm reacting to right now. Like, there's a lot of people out there, if they were reacting or watching the same things I was at this time, they'd probably say something like Arcane. But it's like, no, not for me. I'm enjoying Arcane enough, but it's honestly one of the least hyped for series I'm watching right now. But yeah, Ghost and Molly McGee, I'm just in love with this series. As I've made plenty clear in the past reactions, I think it has so much amazing potential to be one of the greats of modern televised animation. Up there with the likes of The Owl House, or She-Ra, or those kind of series. And I just think that it's really just impressing me on all accounts. Even though it's very episodic right now, things are still connecting to a degree, and a lot of it is still just so fucking good that I don't even mind, which is not always super common for me. But last time, both of the mini-sodes kind of formed one story, connecting through the reformation of this concert hall in the town park. The first half of the episode focusing on getting it rebuilt in the first place, while the second half focusing on getting the first show to be put on there. And both parts were fantastic. Both parts really worked amazingly together. And so I'm very excited to see where this series goes and how they're going to continue to implement stuff like that into the future. I don't know what to expect going forward, because as always, I know almost nothing about where this leads. I only know one little tidbit about one character, and I don't know the context behind it, so I'm pretty much entirely blind on this series outside of that. Which, as usual, how I like it. And yeah, even though, like, there's this weird release thing where it's like there's one episode left in the season or something like that, and it's like it's on break right now because of the holidays, and it's like, for one episode you couldn't release one episode still. But it's like, that's gonna be weird to get to once we reach that point. Unless we catch up right when it gets there, or it comes out right before we're caught up. I don't know. I can't like time that out. I don't know when it's coming back. But yeah, like I said, I'm very, very excited for this, and where it's going. But let's just get into it. Let's see what this episode has in store. So when the screen fades black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts, and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I looked up Greta Gerwig to see like what she's directed, and apparently she's directed only 3 movies so far, and a 4th one coming. She's directed Nights and Weekends, which I've never heard of, Lady Bird, which I've never heard of, and 2019's Little Women, which I have heard of, but just not seen. She's also set to direct the 2023 Barbie movie starring Margot Robbie. So there's that. I've known her, I feel like I've seen her in more things, or maybe I've just heard the name, because I don't recognize much of anything for her acting credits either. Like going down this list, I'm not finding much of anything except for Isle of Dogs. Maybe that's where I'm remembering the name from when I did that. But then I check TV here, and again, pretty much nothing that I've actually seen. Stuff I've heard of, but like the Mindy Project, I've heard of that, but nothing I've actually seen. But it was actually her here in The Ghost and Molly McGee, so I don't know. Maybe I've just heard her name before. It's a really interesting choice to bring in a celebrity like this in any show, but they also brought in one who's, again, really not that well known, I guess. Like, she hasn't done a lot. And, I mean, I don't know about some of those movies, but I guess Little Women was kind of big, I guess. I don't know. It's like, I mean, I've clearly heard of her, but it's like I didn't really know what she was known for. So I don't know. It's just a really interesting decision to bring in her specifically. And hey, all the power to her to get, if this gets her more attention, that's great. But still. So these two episodes were, again, just really good. Like, again, these were very, very episodic, very in their nature. I said 2 episodes, it's 2 mini-sodes, but they're very episodic in nature again, but I think they really worked and they were really fun and entertaining. The first one was just really interesting, at least for the A plot. The B plot was a little just meh to me. It wasn't bad, it was just not as good. I didn't care as much about like what was behind the secret door and everything, and the entire thing with the centipedes and all. Like, it didn't hook me as much. But seeing Molly and her mom, and I guess Scratch as well, going out doing these odd jobs was fun and entertaining. And there was that one part at the beginning too where they're like, when the car breaks down and Molly just really dejectedly like asks if they're gonna be okay, and it's like, that part actually got to me. Like, my family is not like dirt poor, but we're not like the best off. We don't have like a lot of money, and like, we're blessed in a lot of ways compared to some people out there who are definitely in a much worse position, but we would still be on the lower end of things. We've still had some troubles in regards to certain things, and had some money issues here and there, especially after we moved down to Georgia and everything. My dad had to leave his old job behind at that point, so, which, before that, when he did have that job, it was actually a lot better. But since then, it just kind of started going down a little bit in terms of just monetary stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, so it's and just seeing a kid ask that with such like heaviness is kind of heartbreaking. Like, just the idea that Molly here is legitimately concerned that they're not going to be okay here, that they're that this money situation is going to be very bad for them. Like, seeing her concern over that in such a very serious delivery really kind of broke my heart. And it's just, it got to me. It did. It made me tear up. um, but they kind of brought it back with the family's strong positivity and everything, and trying to get back into the swing of things. And yeah, um, I like the interesting choice they went with, like having Molly's mother like be so fucking upset at the idea of working at a diner because apparently had just some bad memories and stuff from her past. I think that's a really unique idea, because that seems to be kind of like a go-to in a lot of shows and whatnot, just doing a job like that. So the idea that it's like just a complete non-option is fascinating to me. Instead, they decide to go with these odd jobs around town using this app that's like, oh, people around you will send you odd jobs, you do it for quick cash, that kind of thing. And it's like, okay. So they do a bunch of just random shit. Very random shit, just here and there. And it just kind of works out, basically. They get the money, but due to Mr. McGee and Molly's brother messing around in the basement, they need a new water heater as well, and so it's like, they need more money now. But it seems like Mrs. McGee is going to keep doing this just to earn extra money around the house and everything. And so it kind of ends with that. The second episode here is also pretty interesting, because Molly and her family and them, well, mostly just Molly and her brother, want to make a horror movie that's actually really good, unlike the movie they watched as a family. So, with Scratch helping out as the ghost, and with Libby writing and so on and so forth, they start to make their movie, but it's proving to be pretty tricky with the fact that they aren't really good at getting all of that done. They end up running into Andrea, who has all of the connections, all of the stuff they need, the sets and the materials and everything. But she keeps changing the script and bringing in replacements for everyone with their jobs and all, and so it just gets too far, and they decide in the end to just make do with the little bit they actually have after scaring Andrea and basically shuttering the project. And it goes well enough. So I like this one because it did bring in both Andrea and Libby into starring roles in the minisode, and as I've been stating, it's like I want to see more of them. Like, I get Molly and Scratch being the main characters and everything, and I get them being around the family a lot. They're probably going to be more common, but I want to see more of Libby and Andrea. Like, those two are much more interesting to me than the family. And it's not like anything against the family. I like the family too, but I want to see these two a lot more. Libby is probably my favorite character right now. And that's in a cast of great characters, so that's saying something. And I really, really enjoy the shit out of Andrea. She is just a little diva, and I love it. She's hilarious. I want to see more of them because I feel like they could add in some great dynamics and whatnot. Andrea's not openly antagonistic like she had been throughout her first appearance, but she's such kind of a little, like, asshole in a way. She's a complete dick without necessarily trying to be. She just kind of ends out that way. Um, and I kind of enjoy the dynamic between her and Molly and others. Plus, she has some amazing expressions, especially in this episode. Um, so I just wish we got more of them, more consistently. Um, but that being said, I really enjoyed a lot of the ideas here because I am a fan of horror movies myself, and I like that Andrea is like, I don't know, for some reason I wouldn't have thought that. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just the stereotypes I've seen in a lot of cartoons that have made me think like, oh, Andrea's probably into like period dramas and stuff like that, or romantic comedies even. It's like, but no, she's into horror movies, and it's like, okay, I can genuinely dig that. Not just because I am as well, but because I think that's a really unique way, a really unique idea for her character. Because again, because of the stereotypes in a lot of shows, it's like you would just not automatically think that with her. You would see her character and not think she would be a fan of horror movies. But the fact that she is amazing. Um, and again, I like that she's actually not being openly antagonistic anymore. She's just kind of a dick by nature. But she's actually like, she does try to help them even if it's for her own sake, and she is, it does seem like she's just not being a bad person to them either. She's not bullying them, she's not being mean to them, especially on purpose. So it's really interesting how different she is comparatively. Like even when she was in the baseball episode, she wasn't like that then either. So it's really interesting what they've done with her character. And I'm definitely that's why I want to see so much more of her, especially. Um, the music in these two episodes, there was a song in each one. It felt more like montage music, basically, and it kind of was. But I love the lyrics of it. That I think is what saved it. It didn't feel like the songs you would hear in like Steven Universe or other shows like that. It didn't feel like songs like the characters are singing, because they're not. It's a song that's kind of in the background during a scene and everything. So it's just kind of not as interesting to me in that regard. But because of the lyrics, it kind of brought it back up for me and made it more fun, because the lyrics being so self-aware and everything, and even in the first of these two minisodes, like the line about the poisonous mold and the and Mrs. McGee constantly asking, "Are we going to be all right?" and just kind of breaking the fourth wall to do so was actually really funny. Um, so I really enjoy the lyrical content of these songs more than how they're actually presented. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed this episode, both halves of it. It wasn't perfect and everything, but I mean, nothing's necessarily going to be. I still enjoyed it. I still thought it was good. I loved a lot of the concepts and ideas brought in here. I loved seeing more of both Libby and Andrea. So yeah, I can't really complain. I'm still having a blast with this series. I'm still loving it greatly, and again, the facial expressions alone are phenomenal every single time. Like there's so many wild and wacky expressions. Like when Molly sits in her chair and is like she says like perfect fit or whatnot, and that face she makes is fucking gold, and I love it. And Andrea makes some amazing faces and so on. It's just I love that. I'm a big sucker for great facial expressions. I've mentioned this in previous reactions in the past. I'm a big sucker for great facial expressions. It's just awesome and hilarious. Um, so yeah, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of The Ghost and Molly McGee? What did you think of both halves, and are you like me? Do you want to see more Libby and Andrea in the future, or are you not as invested in them as I tend to be? Are you more invested in Molly and her family than the friends, basically. And either way is fine, but let me know anyways. And I'm excited to see where we go in the future. We've still got plenty of episodes left, so yeah, we'll see as we go. When the screen fades away, or wrong thing there. I was about to give the fade into the halfway point. Thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.